I was gonna say everybody can
We're
use
already
the
blabbering anyway.
yeah, else can use the raise hand feature. But Rob, you can go ahead with your question.
So I was thinking kind of, looking back, you've played obviously South Carolina at Reynolds. At what point do you remember in the time that you've been at State where you thought, okay, this thing is ready for these top type teams, Connecticut, South Carolina, to come to Raleigh? I'm ready. I want to play these games.
Heck, I don't know. uh, when I first got here, I was out speaking in the summer on the caravan, and somebody in the back raised their hand. I may have told y'all this the other day and said, what's it going to take to get you to play UConn? And I said, somebody's probably going to have to get me drunk. So I don't know. We I think made a decision to really try to have one of the best schedules in the country and uh, go out and play games that would get you exposure. I mean, again, it's on ABC. I don't know how many women's games are on ABC this year. Unfortunately, it's not a ton. And so, it's good to get that kind of exposure, put your players on that stage. And again, they're going to expose every weakness that you have, and you're going to find out pretty early in the season what we have to get better at. But, I don't know, just feeling like we had a team that could compete at that level and trying to, obviously South Carolina and UConn are definitely two of the top programs in the country. So good place to start, I guess.
JC, you can go ahead.
So many of the players have departed since the NCAA tournament game, but did you go back just to see kind of pick and roll defense against Page or show players on the current team about what is needed in the pick and roll against Page?
Yeah, I mean, our first film session was a combination of our game a year ago and our game 2 years ago. So, it's really easy to sit here and say, well, we could do this or do that. But, when you've got Paige Beckers and AZ Fudd, and then you got the person setting the pick is Aaliyah Edwards. I don't know if y'all have seen it, but I just saw something today, top 25 players in the country. But anyway, those three are top 15 in the country. So, again, you pick your poison. If you get up there and really get aggressive with her, now you're letting Aaliyah Edwards roll to the bucket, and Aaliyah Edwards leads them in scoring right now. So, again, a lot of weapons. So, but yes, we've definitely looked at it, and we got to be prepared to try to mix it up and do some different things, which, we tried to do that in the NCAA game a couple of years ago. We just didn't do a good enough job of it. But again, she got hot that day, and we could have maybe done a better job of getting the ball out of her hands, but she's a great player.
Brian?
Hey, Coach, you mentioned not a lot of women's games on ABC. For y'all to be for this Sunday to take a part in one of those that are on there, what does that mean in terms of the growth of the game for both the women's game overall and your program?
Yeah, a year ago we our game with Louisville was chosen and on ABC. So this back-to-back years we've had a good game like that to be featured, and but definitely says a lot about our program, what those kids that have been here in the past have done to promote it, and then the game itself, like you said, the numbers for the Final Four this past year were, I think, 10 million viewers, and it's just an exciting time, obviously, for our sport. And now I think our contract is coming up. I think it's going to be a great time to maybe even get more exposure and maybe a better package, bigger package for TV games. So it's a great time, obviously, and we're thankful to all those people that blazed the trail ahead of us. And always go back. I was here with Kay Yao, and then I was around Pat Summitt a lot early in my career. So those are the people that, and quite honestly, Gino too, when you look at what he's done in that program. They got it rolling now. As I mentioned, they got 3 of the top 15 players in the country, but when he went there, they weren't. So you got to tip your hat to him and what he's done in building that program.
Rob, go ahead.
I think Gino has a background at UVA, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. He was an assistant with Debbie Ryan. Mhm.
And that was a really big rivalry for a lot of the younger people may not remember that, but Virginia and State was a really big rivalry. Did y'all
Yeah.
ever cross paths? How did that, have you ever interacted in that period?
I think when I was an assistant here, he was already at UConn because we actually played Connecticut while I was here. That was during the Rebecca Lobo era and all that. But he and I, we've crossed paths. Even when I was at Chattanooga, we were in the same region a time or two. And I actually, one year when I was at Chattanooga, during fall break, I'd always go watch someone else practice for a couple of days, give our players off. And I actually went up and watched UConn practice a couple of days, and he was very generous with his time. And we had opportunities to visit before practice, after practice, things like that. And so, go back a good little bit. But I guess when he was with Debbie Ryan, might have been while before I came here to State.
Peter, go ahead.
Yeah, Wes, the other day, the players, Mimi and Isaiah, were talking about looking forward to this game. Can you give us a feel for your team? What are they feeling, looking like? What vibe are you getting from them for this game?
Excitement. Our practices the last 2 days have been really upbeat, and they, again, got a lot of respect for UConn and what they've done. I hadn't even sat down and thought about it. I don't think we had, but maybe, I don't know, Isaiah may be the only player that was here when we played them. I'm not sure, but so it's not like there's a whole lot of carryover from that standpoint, but just, it's UConn, the respect you have for their program, and yet our players, they're excited, they're confident, and they should be. I mean, it's a great opportunity is what I told them, and it's early in the year. Either way is not going to make or break your season. So you got to build on it from there, but it'll be fun. This is what the players want to play in. They want to play in games like that. So they're excited though, and got a lot of energy.
Thanks.
JC, go ahead.
To see James go off like she did in the first quarter, did you joke with her at all? Be like, save some for UConn?
No, at the end of I told somebody the other day, at the end of the first quarter, I was thinking about making reservations for our team at the Final Four. And then after the second quarter, I was thinking about making reservations for my retirement party. So, that's just the way it goes. I mean, we had all the momentum. We're hitting everything in the first quarter. In the second quarter, we couldn't buy a bucket. So, we're going to have moments like that. We got a lot of young players that are going to have to contribute and help us. And this is going to be good for them too. And, I mean, it was good. Get off to a great start. That first quarter was impressive, but Isaiah obviously was a big part of that. But really everybody, like I said, Mimi was hitting shots, and, defensively, I was real pleased with our effort. I thought we, played with urgency on the defensive end of the floor, which was a good thing in that second quarter. When we couldn't score, at least we did a pretty good job defensively of keeping them about the same spot. So, but yeah, I mean, it's, it was great to see. I mean, that's good for Isaiah. Hopefully that does give her some confidence going into this next game.
Rob, go ahead.
You play these games, and to be fair, I mean, Louisville and Notre Dame, they're pretty big too. And, do you ever sometimes maybe get reflective and think, wow, the renovation of this, the playing these big games, this is what I wanted. This is for K-Yow. This is for a lot of people. Do you ever get reflective and think, I'm sure that's kind of heavy at sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a picture at home from the first time we beat Notre Dame. Maya Spencer and Dominique Wilson are in that picture, and great memories of that game because at the time Notre Dame was dominating the ACC and winning it seemed like every year. And you do a little bit. When you get my age, you got to reflect a little bit, right? But at the same time, you got to wake up in a hurry and move on to the next one. So just when you start feeling pretty good is when you're going to get knocked on your butt. So at the same time, it's scary going into games like this because, if you don't show up early in the game, whatever, they can expose you. So you go into these games excited, but also knowing that you're going to have to play really well.
JC, go ahead.
Piggybacking off of two of Rob's questions, when you play teams like UConn and South Carolina, and now that you can talk about your class of 2024, do you see that pay off in any ways in recruiting the last 2 years, knowing that they have big games to look forward to when they come to NC State?
No doubt, it's part of the factoring into your schedule. Again, a lot of these players that we're recruiting right now saw our game with UConn, the double overtime game to go to the Final Four or whatever, and so they definitely remember those moments and hopefully see themselves playing for NC State in those situations. But we're definitely it's a big factor in these kids, these recruits. They want to play against the best and they want to play on the big stage, and so we're trying to show them we're going to put you in that situation.
Rob, go ahead.
So Wes, for this version of UConn, are they schematically similar to the other Geno teams over the years? Just if you can, just maybe, especially for some of the layman's who are not well versed on UConn's history, just sort of describe how they approach things offensively and defensively, and does this version mesh with the other ones?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, again, right now they have Paige Beckers and AZ Fudd both healthy, and when you put them together, that's an unbelievable duo. Like I said, and then throw Edwards in there, 3 of the top 15 players in the country in college basketball. So that's pretty rare. But yeah, offensively, they do a lot, kind of like the Princeton stuff, with backdoor cuts and handoffs, and they're setting good picks, making good reads. It's not so much that they run a ton of sets. They're just well coached and in the game and know how to read a defense and exploit whatever you're doing. So I think offensively that's very similar to what they've done in the past, and I think this group does it really, really well.
JC, go ahead again.
Do you ever joke with Fudd at any point, recruiting process, USA basketball, whatever, about her mom and how she played at NC State and the what ifs? Like, you ever joke with her or have talked to mom who might be in the building?
Yeah, the mom. I was pretty involved in her recruitment when she was younger. Her mom, I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And then when it came up about time for her to make a decision, maybe heading the summer before her senior year, is when I left to be a head coach at Francis Marion. Actually, we talked a couple of times after that, and I encouraged her. I felt like it was still a great decision to go to NC State, and things didn't work out. She had a great freshman year, but for whatever reason, she maybe homesickness, whatever, because she did go back to the DC area to play the rest of her career. But her mom was a great shooter, a great scorer, and AZ's a lot like AZ's one of the best shooters I've seen. I mean, obviously with USA basketball, I was around her quite a bit when she was in Colorado, and just like I said, great catch and shoot, or off the dribble for that matter. But haven't really talked a whole lot about her and her mom. I'm sure we did definitely try to recruit her when she was young, and would bring that up, and they came here unofficially and things like that. But never was quite enough to get her this way.
Does anybody else have anything for Coach Moore? All right. Looks like we're good. Thanks again, Coach. We really appreciate
I will add one more. Y'all are asking, do you ever reflect and get all warm and fuzzy feeling? The first year we got Reynolds renovated. We went down, won a big road game, and got back. It's midnight, and back then we were wearing a suit and everything before COVID. And so I started to walk back up when we got here back to campus. I started to walk back up to my office and go around the court. But I thought, you know what? It's a big win tonight, big ACC road win. I'm going to walk through Reynolds and just, soak it all in. And here I am in my dress shoes, and I think I had a drink in my hand, soft drink, whatever. And, the roof still leaked a little bit here at Reynolds, and it had been raining. And so I got about halfway across the court, hit a slick spot. And I mean, my feet went up higher than my head, and I fell on my butt. And as I laid there on the floor, I thought, that's what happens when you start feeling pretty good about things and think you've arrived. So, we're not going to reflect a whole lot. Better keep your eye on the road and keep moving forward, because there's a whole lot of obstacles out there. Anyway, story
Good
for the day.
reminder for all of us.
All right.
Thanks, Coach.
See y'all. Thank y'all.
Thanks everybody for being on this. Y'all know where to find me.